We are going into uncharted waters today. May make me uncomfortable. I'm bracing myself. Shout out today goes to Danielle C. Thank you for your support on Buy Me a Coffee. I was asked for an analysis, a breakdown of the song With Strength I Burn by Emperor. And I was told that this is a masterpiece in the black metal subgenre, but I was also told that this may not really be my cup of tea. So now I'm bracing myself. Am I going to be uncomfortable? Is this going to be too dark? But I'm willing to check it out. Trying to keep an open mind as we go around the world. This is not just a reaction channel, you guys. We break things down, we analyze. So I appreciate your support. Subscribe, like, comment, share. Here we go.
Thank you so much. You know now gold. Anthems to the Wacken at dusk.
It's crazy how knowing that, I'm being told this is going to be in depth or philosophical or feel evil or perhaps will be out of my wheelhouse. It's wild how this sets the tone for my emotional stage. If I would have not known, would I still have felt the same way? Or is it really that the setting, the instrumentation, the music, and the notes are creating a level of eeriness with or without knowing what this is going to be about?
Please feel free to sing along. This is With Strength
Oh yeah, I can already tell. This feels darker. This is intense. Sorry if I'm stopping at like one of the best parts that you guys love so much. But here I'm seeing that feel that I would get when we're talking sailors and pirates and stuff. That the feel, that touch of subgenre that's showing up here fits to what I read in Danielle's description, which is that it's about this journey over the sea. So here I'm seeing something that fits to the thematics. I am not, by the way, understanding a lick of what he is saying. This is so intense. My whole system is on alert right now. And it's crazy how music can do that. When you have a certain tempo, when you have the shredding of the guitar and everything's going fast paced, our body will sync up with music. Scientifically, our heartbeat, the blood pressure, various things in our system. It's crazy how we're affected by music. And I know there are people out there who might be soothed by this. For me, this is intense. And if it wasn't for this channel, I don't know if I would go this far into metal. I've explored all kinds of subgenres at this point, but this is intense. Oh my gosh. Oh, the harmonies are dope. minor notes here, so eerie and dark. So out of my wheelhouse.
Without hesitation, he accepted. And away they say.
Their harmonies are legit. The way they're playing so clear. I got to pause a couple of times. I don't like talking over music, but it helps with the copyright claims. Also, I want to add value, right? We're not just listening to music here. We're analyzing, breaking down. The harmonies bring something beautiful in. I feel like those elements in and of itself show, just from a philosophical standpoint, how no man is an island. You can have an epic song, but it really wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for harmonies, melodies, the music, the drums, the guitar. And that in and of itself is a conversation to have when we're talking about psychology and philosophy, right? How we're all connected. And so that's just a little nugget or seed I'll plant in your mind before we talk about the lyrics. And I'll have to pull them up because, again, I'm having a hard time understanding what they're singing. But it's just something interesting to think about when we're thinking about that journey. We're thinking about burning strength. With strength I burn. Even seeing the crowd enjoying this together. This is an experience. This is more than just listening to background music. And so seeing all the parts that it takes just fit to this idea of the human journey that we're on, where it does take a village. It does take all of us, and everyone has a part to play. Just a little thought that popped in my head. Strong voices. Oh, the modulation here. Oh my word. The flashing lights are getting me. This song might need a warning for people that are sensitive to flashing lights. I'm holding my breath. That was incredible. Oh my gosh. They're playing while they're windmilling. That's crazy. Here's some symphonic elements. That choir feel. Oh my goodness. I need a nap now. This was intense. Okay, listen. This is impressive. What an experience. Imagine being in that crowd, you guys. That is impressive. The musical ability, the windmilling and headbanging while you're shredding away at your guitar, the bass, the guitar, the drums, all working together. These choral elements, almost angelic-like, right? This transcendent feeling, the harmonies, so many elements, their vocal range. I mean, composition-wise, crazy. So many changes, the time signatures, the modulations, the going ham, the guitar solo. The list goes on. There's so many pieces that we could talk about alone. But what comes to my mind is that it's interesting to me because, for one, I don't know what Emperor is about. And Danielle had said something about the masterpiece in black metal, one of the most extreme forms of metal where the evil or satanic imagery mixes with some forms of nihilism and Satanism, real or shinographic. I hope I'm saying that word right. And my question would be, where does Emperor fall in that and in the black metal subgenre? This is where I need your help. Comment below. Are some of the dark elements for show, or is that actual elements of Satanism? You guys have been educating me as I'm trying to open my mind to the world of metal, that a lot of it is for show. There's small select groups that actually dabble in it for real. To me, that matters because I wonder who does and why. I would want to know how real those claims are and what it means to them and why. If it is for show, I could see why, right? But if they're really behind certain philosophies, religions, or Satanism, if you will, I want to know more about that. I want to know why. And I would like to compare how that affects both the band, their music, the viewer. This felt dark to me because it's just so heavy. Black metal being so intense. I mean, it was nonstop. The flashing lights adds to it, of course. The feel you get when you're seeing this giant crowd of people just crowd surfing, windmilling, headbanging, that alone affects us psychologically when you're surrounded by like-minded people. That's why emotions run high at protests. That's why emotions are high at a concert or at a speech that is powerful and impactful. When you are surrounded by people that are feeling and experiencing similar things. Scientifically, our brain starts mirroring, but we also synchronize when we're listening to music together. So obviously that's going to get people hype. And for some, this may be soothing. For others, it's exciting. Like I said, maybe needs to come with a warning for people that are sensitive to throwing lights and a lot of light. But this was amazing. The composition, amazing. This is not something I would listen to on my day-to-day from a preference standpoint. This is more of an experience to me, not something that you just have playing in the background. But that's me. I know there are those who just have this playing and it's just part of the playlist. So if that's you, talk to me. Why? What does it do for you? How does it impact you mentally, emotionally? When are you most likely to turn that song on? Let's talk about the lyrics for a second. I appreciate Danielle for making a recommendation where she knew that it would be most likely they knew that it would most likely be some type of value philosophically, psychologically. Before you leave, listen to this real quick and subscribe. The song was released in 97 and it says, deep green, dark chaos. Blinded, I run down these paths. By heart, I know them. They lead to the searing cliffs. Stout, they stand above the water's edge, lifeless. What is lifeless? The cliffs that stand above the water's edge. This is my foundation, cold stone, formed only by winds and time. How invulnerable, lifeless. Very interesting, because it's painting a contrast of us on that journey, running down a path, in contrast us being alive, in contrast to the lifeless cliff that is standing at the water's edge, that is searing, that stands stout. I love the wordplay, the alliterations here, the poetic elements, the linguistic art in the songwriting, but also conceptually, this idea of this is my foundation, something that is not alive, cold stone, something that was formed by wind over time, that is invulnerable. In contrast to me, who is running and is very much vulnerable. I have longed to be at one with this, yet the waters call my name. Wow. Makes me think of following. Again, the contrast between something that's alive and not, something that is our foundation, the foundation of something that is frail. We are vulnerable. We're frail. We are not lifeless, and we long to be at peace. We long to be one with what? The stones, the rock, nature, earth, yet the waters call my name. This contrast of something that is still and steady, in contrast to us, we who are restless, we who long to be at the sea, we want to travel, we want to journey. It makes me think philosophically of what a lot of humans find ourselves at. From an existential, phenomenological standpoint, we see that uncertainty is a big part of life. And we cannot even say that uncertainty is certain. Even uncertainty is uncertain. That's just life. We can see that everything's related and connected. It's really not just either or, even though in our Western language, we often use that type of terminology and that's how we understand the world. And we can see that anxiety simply is. Even when I try to escape it or embrace it, it's there. That's part of the human experience of being, of existing. And there's something about us. We've done it throughout history where we've been nomads, we've been wanderers, we've been explorers. And there's a time and a place for it, right? We wouldn't have moved, built, expanded if we didn't yearn for what's out there. There's this pull within us as people to be at peace and one with where we are, with that foundation, that solid rock. And yet there's that pull within us to want to get out onto the sea, to want to be more, to want to be free. That's another part of existentialism, right? This longing for freedom, that contrast between responsibility and freedom, between relationship and isolation, right? For once I wish to see the entity behind the voice. Ooh, the face of this seduction, the beauty of my pain. Wow. The entity behind the voice, behind that voice of the water that is calling my name, or behind God or the divine, the universe. That's interesting because I take that different ways. For me, and this is me projecting, I'm taking this personal because I too long to know the entity, the being behind the things that pull me and the voices that I hear. And not in the literal sense per se, but in the sense of that yearning for more, for God, for something divine. Here, I guess it means the voice of the water that is pulling me. I want to see the entity. I want to see the face. Who is this that's beckoning me? The beauty of my pain. Again, beautiful language here, that contrast. How can pain be beautiful, we ask, right? And yet, there is something about it. It's death that makes life so fragile, and the fragile that makes something precious. Am I blessed or am I cursed by thy presence? What is my crime? What is my deed? Is this life my redemption? Shall I repent or proceed? My goodness, this is profound. I hate my flesh, its dimension poisoned by soul with doubt. Wow. It made me question the essence of the I. Good Lord, they are profound, philosophically and psychologically. I couldn't hear and understand most of it during this song. And now as I'm reading through this, I'm going, my word. What a beautiful poetic way of putting in words the human experience. I hate my flesh makes me think of those who literally struggle with their self-worth and self-love, that may practice self-harm, that may have that internal dialogue, that inner critic, as Citizen Soldier says, that battle within oneself. But it makes me think in general of our human turmoil, even those who may not have that direct struggle of insecurities and self-harm, those in general of us, human beings, who are torn by the fact that our soul struggles with doubt, that we have questions, that we doubt, that we struggle, we wrestle with things, the essence of the I. Slaves are those of this world, given freedom to lay the chains upon the master. The wolf is no longer free. Release the chains and come for me. Very interesting. Suddenly his mournful cries were stunned. Out of the cold mist came 3 enthralling ships, sails torn by many a storm, and the bows adorned by the most fierce gargoyles he'd ever laid eyes upon. Yet the crew they bore, 3 times 12 in numbers. Interesting to use the numbers like 3 and 12, because in sacred geometry and even in various religions, those numbers are special, right? In Christianity, you got the 12 disciples, you got 3, the Trinity, these numbers that we find reoccurring in various circles. So it's interesting to me that that's used here, but I'm not sure what else it might mean. They stood motionless, wrapped in gray, worn gowns, and from behind their shadowed faces, they seductive chanting, bidding him on board. Without hesitation, he accepted, and away they sailed. Upon these seas, such storytelling, by the way, wherein I drowned so many times, I scatter the ashes of destiny, still my flame is in hunger. Wherein I drowned so many times on these seas. Not necessarily the literal seas, but the seas of what? The seas of the longing of our soul, our search for self, for purpose, for life, for answers. With fire in my heart shall I greet the shores ahead, though I know not what will burn. In the distance, I hear the waves wash over solid ground. Wow, what a beautiful full circle. Earlier speaking of the cliffs and the solid ground, that was his foundation. And in this moment, I'm struck blind. Grant me sight so I can see that which lies ahead of me. Cursed be my mortal eyes, right? Cursed be my flesh, my mortal eyes, for dying in this realm of death. Hear my call. I return to the soaring cliffs. They truly shine of strength. Even though I nothing learned, with strength I burn. Wow. I learned nothing because he's going to go back out on sea and drown once again, right? What a interesting poetic way of putting that battle between life and death. That's how I'm interpreting this. And that longing for purpose, for peace, to belong, to understand who we are, and yet not learning anything because we keep doing it again and again. We find ourselves in similar places, burning with strength, which that in itself sounds like such a paradox, because how do you burn with strength? Those who burn with strength may do so in the sense that they're willing to die with honor. They're strong in the face of death. Maybe burning with strength in the sense of I'm burning for something, I'm passionate about something, and I'm doing so with strength, with intensity and passion. Different ways to take that. But it makes me think of the days of old, poetry and theater plays and readings, read-alouds that were so artful and profound, where it had the listener mesmerized and enthralled with questions. And here we have this composition, art, lyrical art, in my opinion, woven within a musical masterpiece. What a day to be alive, you guys, to experience music like this. What do you think of this song, of this band? And what do you think of these lyrics? Help me understand them. Subscribe, comment below, and I will see you on the next ride.